Moving in on A Company's forward elements.
Give me the armour approach corridors for A Company's forward elements.
Yes, sir.
I'll have the best approaches in green. Alright, I want you to put OPs here, here, and here. Okay, see that
yes,
now?
Sir.
Good. Sig, keep the RT on the phone.
A military response in Australia's north would inevitably require off-road operations. There are relatively few roads and they'd be vulnerable in a time of threat. In the bush, vegetation and terrain have a significant bearing on military ops, so prior knowledge of the operating conditions throughout the tropics is essential for successful defence of this country. Remote sensing for terrain intelligence, a DSTO project, is addressing this need. Using the proven technology of remote sensing, we're creating a vegetation and terrain database for Australia's north. But it's the application of this database that's of interest to you. Knowledge of the plant species, soil type, seasonal effects is all very well. But what we can do is derive military operational implications from this information. Could a small force be concealed here? Could a loach land here? What are the trafficability prospects in the wet and the dry? This is the intelligence that gives you an operational advantage.
The remote sensing is achieved by an orbiting satellite scanning the Earth's surface, its vegetation, geology and water bodies. Sensors in the satellite record reflected sunlight in a number of discrete spectral bands, and thus data is transmitted to Earth receiving stations for later computer processing. The spectral reflectance data can be displayed as a false colour image on a computer screen, converted to Australian map grid coordinates and enhanced to show differences in vegetation and terrain. The extent and distribution of operational map units are derived from the imagery. However, the attributes from which meaningful terrain intelligence are derived must be validated by the process of ground truthing. Ground truthing is carried out by an experienced field botanist, utilising a four-wheel drive vehicle or helicopter, or even travelling on foot, to locate characterisation plots within each of the predetermined map units.
We're definitely in this yellow-green pattern here. I think we'll put the plot between this small clump of palms here and the anthills over this way. That looks fairly typical.
A log sheet is compiled of structural, floristic, terrain and operational information collected from each characterisation plot in each map unit. The vegetation structure and all plant species present are recorded, together with terrain data including soil type, slope, aspect, presence of rocks and gravel, and operational criteria such as stem spacing, diameter, obstacles and visibility. This data then forms the basis of an image training exercise on computer. Training the image means combining the ground truth data with the satellite imagery to form the vegetation database from which our terrain intelligence products, or TIPs, are derived.
In here? Yeah, and we drove down the GCR road here and took this track, and our training plot is on the northern side.
Okay.
The light green.
Graphics.
Yeah, I think we'll move it just a little to the left, actually. It's too far from the road. Right. Okay, can we make it?
For military use, terrain intelligence is hard-copied in the form of over-plotted planimetric versions of the standard Army survey maps. Consider, for example, Melville Island off the north coast of Australia. From the comprehensive computer archives of vegetation classes, terrain intelligence products, such as this light vehicle going map, can be produced. Green for good going, amber for moderate going, and with no-go areas shown as red. The concealment map provides guidance on areas where camouflage nets are required. Yet another map depicts helicopter landing opportunities and rappelling heights. Any number of special purpose products such as these may be derived from the Terrain Intelligence Database simply by request.
This pilot study is showing that with the assistance of an expert botanist, we are able to derive from satellite imagery a vegetation knowledge base that enables us to derive operationally meaningful information for the defence of our northern vital assets. In conjunction with other image processing research, this approach will allow better terrain simulation through earth viewing and surrogate travel. And this will allow more realism in war gaming and military operations planning and lead to better Australian defence preparedness.
You've seen how we gather and process environmental data for terrain intelligence and how this can assist you to make effective military decisions. A clear tactical advantage. For example, my thematic map tells me that although this low forest is no-go for vehicles, the mixed eucalypt woodland behind me has a stem spacing of about 8 metres. Although I'd be susceptible to aerial surveillance, the puncture risk is low. I could sustain 5 to 8 kilometres an hour. Superior terrain intelligence will give us the winning edge in our northern area of operations.